Darren will help me watch the chat too for questions that you have, so I'm not missing anything, and that'll be great. So open the chat if you haven't, and we'll take a look at the agenda here. We're gonna do a little who's who on the call for business categories, and also to introduce some folks who are new on the call today. I'm really excited to see. So that's great. We'll talk a little bit about what we know about the state of the East Side right now, especially as results from the damage report that the city is working on and that ISABA is working on, and what we kind of know about the extent of the damage so far from civil unrest. We'll talk a little bit about the Orbit the East Side Small Business Bingo, which is coming to get you soon, and who we know who's in on that so far and where we want to go next with it, and see what kinds of, just get an informal vote from you all on the call, who you'd like to see on the bingo, who you'd be excited to go spend money on, these kinds of things. And we'll give a little shout out to Rebecca Nelson, the East Side Food Queen, who just came on the call too. I'm loving using her new title. Anyway, everybody. This is the kind of fun we have on these calls. You got to just get yourself, just put on your seatbelt, everyone. Here we go. We'll talk a little bit about the evolving state of COVID-19, who's opening, and what the state of the resources are as a part of the State of the East Side thing. We'll also do just a police report, little police briefing from our new community relations and liaison at the community liaison person at the police department. That's Sagal Abdurrahman, who's on the call. I'm so happy to see you on the call, Sagal. And then we'll wrap up with a little bit of like me turning off my phone.
Yeah.
We'll wrap up a little bit with, I don't know what, something. You see it's on the chat. We'll wrap up. We'll wrap up. Trust me, this call will end. You know, everyone will continue to go on happily into their Thursday at some point. Okay. So right now, I want to just introduce the annual sponsors and whatnot for ISABA. So I want to kind of just thank them real quick. I'll do a quick screen share here and run those, which I always like to do. Ideal Printers and DV Creative, who I mentioned on the call. Harrington Langer and Associates is our accountant. State Farm gives us a fantastic grant that we can do internships and offer sponsored State Farm memberships to ISABA. So we love State Farm. St. Paul Port Authority and Lori Sievers on the call right now. Ladine Law, St. Paul Federal Credit Union, mHealth Fairview, and the Sane Foundation. Visit St. Paul, Sunrise Banks, Metropolitan State University Health Partners, and Highway Federal Credit Union. And then we've got a couple of fantastic crisis sponsors that I love talking about when we're on these calls too. You know, ISABA is one of those 501c6s that's still not included in the PPP relief packages, even though we've had 3 of them now. I know you can almost feel the frustration, but I'm not that frustrated because I have all of you fantastic East Side friends. So here we go. And we have these 3 wonderful crisis sponsors. BP Sunray, Gallagher Financial, and Party Time Liquor just jumped into the gap and said, we will give you a sponsorship even though we don't normally sponsor ISABA just randomly, have kind of said yes when we have called for help. So we're still calling for help, and we'll tell you more about that later. Anyway, that's what we got. Let's talk about you now for a minute. Who's on this call? So if you'll turn on your screens for just a second, if you don't mind, turn on your cameras so that we can wave at you. Oh, Brett, you're bowling. That's fun. Hey, I love how you materialize out of those backgrounds too. That's great. Yeah, there you go. Darren still has his plant in the background. That's good. He doesn't even have to materialize. That plant is really back there. Hello, Erica. All right, so click on your camera if you will real quick. We'll get everybody clicked on. Oh, Dr. Corey's here too. Welcome, Dr. Corey. Wow, you have a fantastic background too of it looks like nonviolent protest and resistors across the globe. Fantastic, that's great. All right, we've got some new folks on the call. Hello. All right, so here we go. If you are from an East Side small business or represent a small business or a group of small businesses, give us a wave, everybody. So that's Sunray Lanes waving from the bowling alley, and oh, and DeJoy, you can be a nonprofit in a minute. Darren Varley from DV Creative. Those are our businesses on the call at the moment. How about East Side nonprofits? If you're from an East Side nonprofit, give us a wave. So I see 4, 5 East Side nonprofits, East Side Elders. Hello. and DeJoy from ESNDC. Chris Shapiro, I think about you as a nonprofit. Do you think about yourself as a nonprofit? The St. Paul Firefighters Foundation. We'll love on you in a whole bunch of categories. Randy Bloom from MSS, Midwest Special Services, and also the ISABA board. Okay. If you are part of a group that does public service like the firefighters or the police department or the Port Authority, give us a wave. So hello, Sigal Abdraman from the police department and Chris Shapira from the Firefighters Foundation and Lori Seaver from the Port Authority. If you are a manager of a gigantic, wonderful property on the east side, give us a wave too. Yeah, that's Erica. There she is. She's new on the call. We're so glad you're here, Erica. She is the manager for the Sunray Shopping Center, and I am glad to have you on the call today. Welcome. Okay. Oh, I see that Remy is on the call too from Sunray Laundromat, one of ISABA's newest members, right there on Ruth, and a small business. We did the small business category just a second ago. Okay. And then we've got a couple folks that I'm not familiar with, and I don't know. I just want to, Dr. Bruce Corey is back on the call. Dr. Corey, welcome. Fantastic resource. We talked about predatory lending a couple of weeks ago, and he's come on a couple of calls since then. So thanks for being here for the State of the East Side. We'll talk more with you maybe here in a minute. So then we've also got Rick Howden on the call. Rick, welcome back from the county. We're glad to have you, man. I wonder he didn't turn on his camera to show us where Rick is today. He could be in the Bahamas for all we know. I hope he's got some sort of Bahamas screen he can put up so he can shock us here in a minute when he turns on his camera. But I also want to just recognize and welcome Peter Grafstrom. Peter, I am introducing myself to you for the first time. And Peter, tell us where you're from.
I work at the Met Council with the council members from the East Metro, or let's see, from the camera maybe. East Metro? East Metro. Anyway, this was on Chai Lee's calendar, and I saw it as a maybe. I thought I'd cover it just in case he wasn't here and listen in and report back anything that we might want to help out with.
Terrific. Met Council. I met Chai Lee this week as well on Sunday at one of the damage tours. So appreciate your being here and nice to meet you. Okay, Rick, you did chime in. Now, Rick, you're from some other different room that doesn't look like the Bahamas.
Yeah, no, I'm in my bedroom, and I know how much you love my dog, so I got one of them laying on the bed here, so I thought I'd share her with you.
Excellent. Okay, that's great. Good. It's always nice to make sure we know what's going on with Rick's dogs. All right. That basically covers what you all wanted to know about the East Side, I'm sure. Let's go ahead and jump in. We'll talk a little bit about what we know about what's going on the East Side and what you'd like to know, and that's kind of the topic for our call. So we continue to kind of figure out how to navigate this way forward with justice for George Floyd and things going on with criminal justice reform. And the legislature is very much focused on that this week, as most of you are aware. But our legislators took a break, then not even a break, like in the ramp up to their session and the work that they were doing. Our East Side representatives and senators wanted to get around and check in with East Side businesses. So this week on Sunday, we met up with folks from the Minnesota House of Representatives over at the Mounds Liquor, right over on Old Hudson Road. And about 15 people, were in and out of the Mounds Liquor doing a little press conference in this tiny space, if any of you have been in there. With Kua Lee, the owner of the Mounds. And so we had a nice conversation there. He had the experience of what we're finding many small businesses had who were damaged in the civil unrest. He had folks kick in his door and break his window and basically just loot and ransack the place until he could get the police called and get them over there to run folks off. So at about $15,000 worth of damage, which is kind of in the average for small businesses across St. Paul, except for the total losses in the Midway, for instance. But I also learned some things so that was Sunday. On Tuesday, we had a group of businesses meet up with Erica over at Sunray and with Brett from Sunray Lanes, kind of the Sunray properties, and and Rebecca was there too, the East Side Food Queen. So we met up in District 1 and we met with five. There were five small businesses. There were five businesses represented there, including Brixmor, the property management company that Erica works with. But I stopped in and talked with the Cub liquor store and the Cub manager, store director as well, Tony Peterson. So, we went to Sunray because Sunray was the epicenter of where things got bashed up pretty good, or bad, as it were. And we heard from other small businesses that had similar experience of being ransacked and looted, but then also talked to some of the businesses that were kind of just on the outskirts of that, and certainly at Sunray, where things just got banged up pretty badly. I learned that one of those sliding double doors at the Cub store it's $5,000 for each of those panels. So that's a $10,000 door that got beat up at the Cub store. In addition to the video that he showed me, which was he and I sat in the control room with our masks on, and he just kind of fast streamed through the video. We just watched the liquor store essentially just be emptied of merchandise. About 150 people just cleaned the liquor store of everything in it before the police department, the SWAT team came and cleared the property. So just a lot of looting going on. And that is mostly the story on the east side. So we saw, in terms of the damage, we have a list of 27 businesses on the east side that we believe were damaged in the unrest. They are all businesses that got looted primarily, or windows broken. So that's the size of the damage that we're looking at on the east side. We didn't have any buildings that burned as a result of the civil unrest, as far as we know. But compared with the Midway, that has probably about, what I've seen, the list had 117 names on it, and that was, a week ago. So the Midway shares kind of the largest part of the damage for St. Paul, but the east side's about a fifth, if you think about, or, a sixth if you total this all together, right around there. So that's what we know about damage reports. Senators came out and met up with folks, and we had a nice meeting with them on Tuesday. And what I want to know, or what I want you to know, is that we talked to all of those businesses about the East Side Business Assistance Fund that East Side organizers have put together. And if you know businesses that were damaged in the unrest or closed in the unrest, we'd like to be able to build a more comprehensive list so we know what we're talking about. And so the East Side Business Assistance Fund is the tool we're using to do that. It's a $15,000 fund total. So, so what we'll be distributing out of it will not be its significant contribution, though we know it will mean something. Even to businesses that had one window broken, $500 or $1,000 is going to be something. But what we know we need more is kind of a way to go to the city and back to the Senate and to the legislators that are working on this and be able to say, here's the size of the damage on the east side and the need that we've managed to document. Help us actually meet it. So that's the important communication that we're working on now. So anyway, want you all to kind of be aware of that. I'll have a link for that I'll drop into the post here in a minute. So Rick's got to go at 3 o'clock. So I wanted to just let him know that, or actually ask Rick if there are things that he's heard out there on the wire that would be applicable to East Side businesses kind of talking, and or what he's knowing. Yeah, Rick. Oh, hey, you've turned into a Vikings fan all of a sudden.
Oh, I've always been a Vikings fan.
Oh, okay, good.
And Saints. So I got a new Saints hat. But I have been in the midst of our Ramsey County Small Business Relief Program right now. That's one reason why I have to jump off at 3. We're getting in the process of notifying our recipients, or those who intend to, and get back to them. And the other thing that I just wanted to try to get everybody's awareness on is that the governor signed a bill of about $62 million the other day for small business relief grants from DEED. This money is also coming from the Federal CARES Act. And so one of the factors that we are working with DEED on is because it comes from the same pool of money that Ramsey County is utilizing its small business relief fund, it can't duplicate expenses. And so I want to just let everybody know, DEED expects to get information up on their website by tomorrow, and are anticipating applications open up next week for that, but it's likely to be a $10,000 grant program. And so this is my place where I get to break all the news for you guys. So that's upcoming. So if you know folks who didn't get applications in for the Ramsey County Relief Fund by last Friday, this will be an opportunity that they can get some additional resources. So other than that, it's been quieter over the last few weeks. A lot of inquiries on our relief fund program. So just wanted to share that.
Hey, Rick, so let's follow up with some questions if anybody's got questions for Rick here about that fund. So just wanted to connect with you and ask, are nonprofits were not eligible for the fund that Ramsey County did, was my understanding, correct?
That's correct.
Is it the same basic, sorry, will 501c3s be eligible for this DEED money or no?
And that question was asked earlier on a DEED call, and not a straight answer was given. It's unlikely, as the intent of the legislation was to, again, go to those businesses and targeting especially those closed by executive order. So, but I don't have a definitive yes or no on that. So we'll keep an eye out on that as they release the guidance on that program here later today.
Thanks, Rick. Perfect. Other questions about Ramsey County or DEED relief funds that folks might have? I'm not seeing other questions about that at the moment. Drop them in the chat if you want.
And then just one quick reminder for businesses. I know it's been talked about a lot, but there's still about $100 million left in Paycheck Protection Program dollars with the SBA. And again, with better rules around it, thanks in large part to Minnesota Congressman Dean Phillips pushing that legislation in Washington and getting that better relief for businesses. So just another reminder if folks want to pursue that.
That's great, Rick. That's great. Kadir,
I want to piggyback on what Rick said, because I just heard this morning from District Director of SBA that the IDLE program is just activated again for a few more till whatever. So there's another opportunity to sign there, and the PPP is going to close by June 30th. So keep in mind that there's a window open and for people to apply.
That great reminder, Dr. Corey. Thank you for bringing that up. And also a reminder from what seems like months and months and months ago, but the EIDL, the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program, also includes a $10,000 advance. So that's not part of the loan, but a $10,000 advance as well. So if folks haven't gotten any of that assistance thus far, thank you, Dr. Corey, for reminding me about that.
terrific. Yeah, thank you. And also about the time frame. Ann had a question. Go ahead, Ann.
Yeah, Rick, do you have any sense for all the people that applied for the county, what percentage are going to get approved? Because now people are asking me the follow-up question. And I know it was delayed because we extended the timeline, but I've had a few people now ask, when are we going to hear?
Yeah, great question, Ann, and that's part of what my 3 o'clock call is with our grant administrator. Our plan and our goal right now is to get notifications out either by the end of the day tomorrow or Monday. I don't have a firm kind of percentage on what will get funded, but I'll leave you with this. Our goal and part of our conversation here at 3 is to see if we can get that to 100% of the eligible businesses. And then with some of the remaining funding that we have left, we're going to be looking at the eligibility and reasons why some of those didn't fit the original criteria And so, and then see how we can work on funding those that have submitted applications that got pulled out. So that's our goal. I don't have a firm answer,
Sure.
but we want to try and fund as many, if not all of the applications as possible.
Okay, I'll pass that information on. Thank you.
Thanks, Ann. So Rick, one final question just about that to clarify. If folks applied for the Ramsey County fund, it sounds like there's a direct overlap. It's not just overlapping expenses. Like people have ongoing expenses, period, but it's a direct overlap with the deed money that's coming out. If they applied and get the Ramsey County money, they shouldn't apply for the deed money. Am I right about that?
At this point, yes, but I think we're working on clarifying that and trying to figure out how we can detail those expenses to ensure that. There's been some conflicting guidance from the feds on this. Part of the problem is they didn't give a whole lot of guidance, and now as money continues to go out to the state now, and then even as the state prepares to distribute that money to municipalities and other organizations or local governments who want to create these similar loan programs, there's language that says CARES funding can't be used on top of additional CARES funding. But so we'll get some clarity around that guidance and get that communication out to folks, because it's very confusing. And my perspective is, from what we've heard, we know businesses have incurred more expenses than the $7,500 that we're offering or that Hennepin County offered, and will likely have expenses greater than the $10,000 that the state is offering. So wanting to be able to assist as best we can and not exclude those things is what we're working on, and we'll hopefully get more guidance here soon.
That's great. Thanks, Rick. Totally good. Okay.
Boris, can I follow? I have a follow-up question for Rick regarding the bridge fund.
He's got about 5 minutes, Kadir, so go ahead.
Yeah, as it's the resource is limited, the demand is high. That is obvious. But what I realized that the bridge fund also, the people who apply is those who have access for electronics, for access for a computer, for internet. There is a people that are in need for the fund, but they didn't apply on time. But they are desperate, they need that support. Is there anything that the county or the state is thinking to reach out those people?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a great point. So we, Ramsey County, have been working with a number of outreach partners, different organizations, many here on the phone, on this call as well, but working with those to help get them the assistance and the technical assistance that they need to submit those applications. And then for those who weren't able to get an application submitted by last Friday at noon, we are anticipating an additional round of funding to go out. This will be guided strongly too for self-employed or sole proprietorship as well. That's something that we've heard a great deal from our community partners of being in need, and restriction that kept a lot of people from applying this first round. So we'll have some modifications to an additional round of funding and continue to work with our outreach partners to get them what they need and the time that they need. So I know Friday afternoon, Monday, and even into yesterday, I got a number of requests that people got kicked out at the end. So, and we've been able to include a couple of those in, trying to be accommodating, but we have to move forward on this round now. But we have information, and I should also state that we don't want folks to feel like they need to apply the second time if they've already submitted their application. So we have a lot of information that we want to work with off that, and again, our goal is to try to fund as many as possible, if not all.
Kadir, that was a great question, Rick. All right, so I think probably what'll happen is guidance will come out on the deed money, and then we'll be asking you some more questions on the helpline to figure out how to navigate so that people can get where they need to get to make that work.
That
Okay.
sounds great. And I'll try to forward out any communications I receive as well, both to you, Paris, and our outreach partners like Ann is one of them, LEDC, a number of different organizations that we're working with, and we'll push that out as it comes forward. So
Great. Thanks, Rick. Thanks for your good work, man.
and Bill and just for a brief moment of levity, Bill Murray joined his sister here, so I just thought I'd share them with you all. So.
Thanks.
But, and sorry I got to run, but thanks for the time. I'm glad to see you all. And again, this is the highlight of my week. So glad I can make it for at least a little bit.
Hey, man, we'll have you back next week if you can make it. We always like to pick you up. You're doing great work for us. Thank you. Right on. As we transition to talk a little bit about cool things going on the east side in terms of opening up, I thought top of the hour here, let's talk a little bit to our new police department liaison, Sagal Abdurrahman, and do a few minutes of just police update. We haven't done this at an East Side member meeting in a while, partly because our regular communication with Ruth Ann Ide, our previous community liaison, Ruth Ann retired after years of doing this work at the police department. So Ms. Abdurrahman, welcome to the East Side and to the call, and we're delighted to just meet you and hear a little bit about little report about the East Side from the police department.
Yeah, well, thank you. Nice to meet everybody. So my name is Sagal Abdurrahman, and I actually just recently started up with the police department as a crime prevention specialist right at the beginning of March, which is kind of a funny time because a few weeks later COVID hit and everybody kind of shifted into a weird time of kind of unknowns. So on the bright side of not really being in the office, we've been kind of getting like email updates on East Side, all 3 shifts throughout the day. So the morning, afternoon, and evening shifts. And so from like the past month or so, just because of the warming of the weather and things like that, there has been an uptick in burglaries. And that is something that we found to have like happen pretty commonly, not only in the East Side, but all around St. Paul and all around in general, just during the summer months. And so with that being said, we've just been giving a lot more information on how to be more situationally aware of your surroundings, how to make sure you're paying attention to where you are, when you're parking your car, are you parking in well-lit areas, just being aware of where you are, who's around you, not being distracted by your phone and keys and things that are happening around you, so you could be as safe as possible. And also because of all the protests and the unrest, there's been a lot of people coming together, neighbors and friends and even associations of sorts, who have been kind of trying to do neighborhood patrols, whether it's around the areas that they live in or whether it's areas that they work in. And so we as crime prevention specialists try to make sure that we can educate and people on the idea that we don't encourage people to patrol their neighborhoods, but rather to do neighborhood watch. And the difference in that is with neighborhood patrol, there could be that risk factor of civilians kind of taking the role of a police officer of sorts, and that could get risky and things can kind of go left in a situation like that. But we highly encourage the work of neighborhood watch, whether that's with friends, whether that's with coworkers or people that you live around, because it's important to build that sense of community with one another, get to know who's around your neighborhood, get to know familiar faces, and there's a sense of accountability for the area that you might live in or work in, to want to have a safe environment around that as well. So those were kind of the 2 main common things that I've been noticing for the past month or so, specifically in the East Side, but also just in general throughout St. Paul. So.
Thanks for that. You know, one of the things we could do in follow-up, and probably this would be a great newsletter article, is just get some of the activities of Neighborhood Watch that you'd really like to promote or that people could take on, just to help us make that distinction. I mean, I've heard about Neighborhood Watch my entire life, but I couldn't tell you what distinguishes it from a neighborhood patrol, or what activities would be different and what people could really bring forward to kind of do, and how it intersects with when you call the police. So that's great. If we can, you and I can work together to put something together we can get out to folks. That'd be terrific.
Yeah, and we've kind of been putting a variety of stuff together just as safety tips in general, just for individuals to be knowing about, just for the safety of themselves and the people around them. And since, you know, people are not really connecting face to face as much anymore, we've been very active on social media. So I can always just send you the things that would be going up on the Facebook page anyways, just for you to pass to, you know, the connections that you might have.
That's great. We'd love that. Totally great.
Yeah.
One of the things that we have done in the past on this call is just had an opportunity for folks, if they wanted to ask specific questions about what's happening in their location. I don't know if anybody has a particular questions about what's going on kind of at their place, or if there are hotspots or things that people know about that they'd like just to follow up on. That's sometimes what we voice kind of in this kind of moment, for sure.
Sure.
Yeah, so if anybody's got anything in particular, it'd be cool. Just drop it in the chat or just go ahead and offer it. Any questions? And Sigal, thank you. I should have asked, how do I say your name right? So I just listened carefully.
Oh, yeah. So
Abdurrahman.
Seagal, like Steven Seagal.
Got
And
it.
then a last name is Abdurrahman.
Abdurrahman. Got it.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Any questions in particular around how things are going? You know, one of the things that we're going to explore down the road as a topic that I brought up via email is that we wanted to have a big police forum in March. That was kind of our goal, to like make this year a year about safety on the East Side and ways that businesses could partner to do that, partner with each other. Neighborhood Watch is a good example, actually, and then partner with the police, build a better relationship with officers in their neighborhoods. We still want to do that, so we can build toward that in July. And I think these additional questions that have been brought up in the wake of George Floyd's killing will be helpful for us to just explore. Like, okay, you know, we tend to feel like the St. Paul Police Department's doing a pretty good job. You know, like that's one sense that I get, but you know, what are the things that we're doing to make sure that our police department is moving in the right direction too, is part of what I think we'll want to explore and talk about. So that's one of the questions that I have. And I don't know if you have, you know, any sense of that inside the force right now or anything to share about that, but I would offer that as a question.
Yeah. Well, as far as like what I can say about that is there are, for obvious reasons, a lot of hesitations around meeting with law enforcement, having law enforcement present in community spaces, sometimes people feeling like, and this is completely valid, people feeling like they can't speak the way that they normally would if there is a presence of law enforcement there. And so I think that in the process of wanting to continue to connect with community members, continue to work on building our bridges, continue to work on building relationships with people and communities and associations, I think it's also like as a police department, we have to understand that people might be hesitant in this time, and that's okay. And sometimes law enforcement doesn't have to be present in conversations in order for things to be happening, although law enforcement should always continue to have the conversation of what we could do better to fix things on our end. And so I think even in the wake of the George Floyd's killing, I think that there has been a lot of confusion as like the differences between Minneapolis and St. Paul, both of them being really big cities. What are the differences? What does Minneapolis do that St. Paul might not, and vice versa? And what I can say about that is St. Paul has been following the 21st century policing model for quite a while now. And so it's just the idea of building policing around community orientedness. And so just connecting it and having community being the center of what policing should look like. And so I wholeheartedly stand by that. And there are quite a few differences between the policies and things that Minneapolis might do, the chain of command there, how things are get done versus St. Paul. And I can never speak on Minneapolis because I don't work there. And so what I can say is that I think it's important to continue having these conversations. And I think it's important to recognize that although St. Paul is not Minneapolis, we are still a police system working in a systematically racist institution, and to recognize and acknowledge where our place is in that, and to hold ourselves accountable along with holding other police departments and other law enforcement agencies accountable.
Nice. Thank you so much. That's like the most succinct and well put statement. I just appreciate that so much. I'm excited to have kind of further conversation about how we work together. Thoughts, anyone? Or
Harris, there's another question in the chat.
good, great. Well, it was Lori.
Yes.
Lori asks, on a business call a couple weeks ago with someone from the mayor's office, and they mentioned city ambassadors will be working throughout the city this summer. They said 2 would work in the Sunray area. Has this started?
I am not sure. I have
Okay.
not heard about this program and what's happening in the mayor's office. And I don't know, I guess, the role of the city ambassadors and where they would be coming from as far as like which department of city they'd be coming from. So sorry, I haven't heard about that. I can look into it though. And if I hear anything, I can let Paris know.
Okay.
Go ahead, Lori.
It's involved with the mayor's office and kind of his new initiative, the community involvement stuff. So I know that they are hiring people, and I think that the ambassadors actually work out at Hallie Q. Brown.
Okay.
Over there, and they're going to be having ambassadors. They already usually have ambassadors in the summer in the downtown area, but they said they're also going to have some throughout the city. And I know one of the places they had mentioned was in the Sunray area.
Okay.
So,
Well, I'll look into that. Thank you.
okay, thanks.
Follow up just for Erica. Erica, have you, as the Sunray property manager, have you heard anything about this?
No, that is news to me.
Okay, great. So, there's the triangle that we should connect here.
Okay, if I find out more, I'll let you guys know too.
Yeah, perfect. Because I'm sure you'd want to know about just what assets you can draw on for your property, Erica, right? Totally. Okay, good. Other questions in the chat, or I can move us to our next? Oh, okay. It looks like Peter, did you have something additional to just offer about the community ambassadors?
No, nothing worth mentioning. I just think I still have his contact information from when I worked in the previous mayor's office. So it's a nonprofit run out of Hallie Q. Brown, just like the other person was saying.
Okay, fantastic. I see. All right, let's learn more. That sounds like a good follow-up for next time, ambassadors. We'll take a minute here and just in the chat, I'm going to put the folks that we've gotten contacted with and lined up for the promotion that Isaba is doing. This is for the Orbit the East Side. I should have typed that. Here we go. Small Business Bingo. And we've done this in a way to say, who do we know who's been closed, who's getting on the cusp of opening here, that we should make sure that we promote? So I'm putting them in here. These are the folks we've heard from so far. Now, on a bingo card, there are 24 spaces for folks to use. And the idea is we would encourage you all and others to go ahead and shop with folks across the East Side to get a bingo. So you'd connect 5 of them together, and you'd go out and spend somewhere between $5 and $20, and then that would qualify you for that space. And you'd send in your receipts when you completed the bingo. So the business doesn't have to do anything in particular except get promoted on their Facebook page. And like I said, we wanted to prioritize businesses that have been closed or are just getting a chance to open up here. So that's why we've got it organized this way, or that's why those are the businesses that you see. And we also wanted to focus on, if we could, businesses owned by women and people of color. So that's where we started when we reached out. So you see we've got a lot of restaurants on here, and we've got a couple of entertainment, just one really. Sunray Lanes right now is the entertainment venue that's just opening, that hasn't been open so far. Hopefully this is whetting your appetite for bingo doings. All you bingo folks who like to bingo, that's me, for sure. But I wanted to ask you, who else should be on this list? How else should we do this? I'll say right now, Isaba doesn't have any salons in our membership. So I've reached out to a couple that have been prospects, but they haven't reached back. So, so that's why you don't see any haircutters on here. But who else should be on this list, do you think? If you've got good ideas for who you'd like to see promoted, that kind of fits into this category of businesses that are just getting ready to open up again after a while, or offer different services, like if they've been offering takeout, but now they're going to have their patio or their something else opened, you know, part of their interior. Let us know who you think. And so, Darren, I mentioned the Darriette because I have always wanted the Darriette to be a part of ISABA, and I have not gotten a chance, clearly, to keep up with them. And I think it would be fun to have them on. So we could add the Darriette as one of those classic East Side businesses that should be on there. And I think I just sent that. Oh no, everyone's looking at this wondering where this is. I accidentally just sent it to Darren and not to the rest of you. All right, here we go. I'm sending it to everyone now. Here's the list. Okay, now it makes more sense. They're the folks who are on the list so far. Check it out. I see Kayla saying not seeing it. Rebecca, did you see it? You can't see it still? I think I sent it to everyone now. Oh, no, no, no. There it is. Oh my goodness. You all are just patiently looking at your screens. It's not there. All right, now it's in the chat. You should see 14 different places, starting with 11 Wells and going down to Caribou Grocery and Cafe, with one grocer, and basically everyone else is a restaurant except for Sunray Lanes. That's what we got. Other fantastic East Side establishments. And Remy, I haven't checked in with you because I know you haven't been closed, but if there's something you wanted to do too, you could let me know. We could talk about it for Sunray Laundromat. So anyway, those are thoughts. St. Paul Brewing, yeah. Okay, so we've got a message into St. Paul Brewing, but who knows about whether St. Paul Brewing what's going on there? Like, I can't get a response back. I think they'd love to do this, but they're not open. And I don't know if they've got plans for opening. My contacts are not responding. So if anybody's got a strong contact for St. Paul Brewing, John Warner is really who we need. Okay, but that's a good one. Totally, for sure. Other thoughts? Drop them in the chat. We're getting ready to do this thing and get a big bingo bunch of fun going. So let me ask you, we can move into this part of the show. Excellent. Mariano's hair design on Upper Payne Avenue. Ooh, I don't know. Cook St. Paul would be great. Yeah, Eddie. Should reach out to Eddie. Thanks, Chris. Mariano's. City Trends, they'll be reopening soon. Erica, should we get them on here? I think that'd be a great one. Can you help me connect with Erica? This is for you and me. Can you help me connect with their owner?
Yeah, absolutely. I have a pretty comprehensive list of all of the tenants on when they're planning on opening and the dates that some of the other ones did. So I think the Sunray tenants could definitely benefit from this.
Okay, let's you and I talk. So if you think of anybody else, drop them in there. That'd be perfect. Be good to know who you want to go and shop with. And then I want to just open this up to our unmet. Oh, I have one other ISABA related question I want to ask you. So ISABA is getting ready to think about whether we should run a special event. We've got a fundraiser we usually do. It's our gala, which is great. I love our gala. It's wonderful. But we're thinking about whether or not to just do an online fundraiser type thing. And I wanted to just bring that to you all with, I guess I've got a survey that I put together that's got some questions on it for like, what features on a Zoom call or a webinar would you be into that you think would make a fundraiser fun? Like what kinds of interactive things should we be doing? What kinds of things have you done on these calls that you thought was good to help us do that? And, the other thing that I've been hearing about, Sigal's got to go. Okay. We're so happy that you were here. We'll let you jump off. Also, you have a final word? Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just saying thank you. And I'm looking forward to next week.
Good. We'll look forward to having you back. The other thing about this online fundraiser, you can only do so much in this online environment. If we did, here's my question for you all, I think. if we were to do an outdoor fundraiser, a big outdoor gathering in September, would you be inclined to come? Would people, the way you're feeling today, I'm not holding you to it. I'm not selling you a ticket. I'm just asking, like, looking down to the goal of September, would an outdoor gathering be something that you might be interested in attending? Just any thoughts? I see the severity in your looks, people. Yeah, so yes, weather permitting, Randy would love to be there. Anybody else?
Food trucks?
Food trucks, yes. Like, what if we got the interior space at 11 Wells and St. Paul Brewing, okay, that parking lot area, and turned that into a big patio with round tables and could stay away from each other, but be on site for a big event? Yeah, food trucks. Love the idea.
Or two, you know, people that normally work at the state fair, they're setting up their state fair things. There's a bunch of them that do it in North St. Paul. It's like cheese curds and
Gotcha.
mini donuts.
Oh my gosh, it could be like the state fair of the East Side. Lori, I'm starting to get excited. Okay. Yeah, so I'm just wanting to kind of start testing these ideas. Our gala committee is really looking for some feedback. I will send all of you this link for giving us some feedback about how we could have a fun gala in these crazy times. Thanks for considering that, or even just hearing about that. These are all things I'm trying to figure out. Let me ask you this. Are you finding, and this is kind of in our wrap-up part of the program, what are the things that are hot or on top for you that you're trying to learn about or figure out right now that you'd like to get some answers to? Chris, one of my questions was, who needs help taking down plywood? Does anybody else need, and or when is the plywood coming off? I keep asking East Side organizers to just let us know so we can be in the loop. But that's one of the outstanding questions that I have. Are there outstanding questions that you all have about things going on the East Side that you wish you knew about?
Well, if somebody had needed help taking plywood down, who would do it?
Actually, I have been in contact with somebody from the Pollution Control Agency, and they're putting together a whole bunch of volunteers, and they're stopping at different spots throughout St. Paul, June 22nd, 3rd, and 4th for 4 hours at all these different sites to help tenants remove that. That's Melissa Wenzel.
Oh, I know her.
She's not on District 1 anymore, but do you have her contact? Because I have her contact.
Yeah, I can drop that in the comments. And with the date, I'll just copy and paste this because it has the locations that they're planning on visiting for the plywood removal.
And then I'm trying to find it, but Melissa probably knows this too, because they're trying to, I've seen several emails about recycling the plywood.
Yes. Yeah, so I think the question is Melissa in the loop for that? Is that the question?
I'm sure she is, because she's really into recycling.
Oh, okay, cool. So yeah, we've seen a bunch of that. Also, Anchor Paper, Brooke Lee, who was on the call last week, picked up a lot of stuff with Chris when they did their work with the St. Paul Fire on Payne Avenue, and Anchor Paper turns that right into pallets. They just reuse it right there on the east side. So that was cool. That's cool too. So Randy asked a question, where's the best place to donate groceries? If you want to donate a bag of groceries, we got a lot of food. We talked food last week. I'm going to defer to the East Side Food Queen. Rebecca, where's the best place to donate a bag of groceries?
Just one bag?
Okay, Randy, now you got to get a whole car full. Okay, where can Randy donate a car full of groceries?
We can, well, if it's non-perishable, you can drop it off at and I just blanked on the address now. 1380 Rose Avenue, Monday through Friday between 10 and 2. Otherwise, you can call me And I have a second site that I'm taking groceries at on 967 Payne.
Yeah.
And that can be anytime because I just live down the street. And if it's after work or before work or, an odd time, it's not between that 10 and 2 time frame, then I can help with that.
So Rebecca, is the 1380 Rose Avenue, is that a thing? And that's not your house.
That's the Kramer Community Room in District 2.
Okay.
That's the one that was supposed to open up in March. The District 2
new building.
Big huge new building, and be a food truck park area.
Food truck parking.
But then the COVID hit and nothing happened. So it's just sitting there waiting for, things to happen.
Waiting
really
for Randy
cool
to roll up with a car full of groceries is what it's waiting for.
Yeah, exactly. And it was, that's where we're having the food drive that District 5 and District 2 and Mom's Food Shelf on Sundays does.
Got it. I also see a mosque in Frogtown listed. Somebody, oh boy, hang on, lots of. Oh, this is places to drop off boards that Erica put in. Okay, thanks, Erica. Okay, and Peter just dropped in the contact for maybe he just did that for me. Contact for community ambassadors. Okay. Other questions or other things that are going for folks out there that you wish you knew the answer to? The East Side is here to serve you. This is why we do this. So your answer could just be like, your question could be anything right now. Seriously.
I think one thing that I'm really interested in is maybe a comprehensive list of all those assistance programs that Rick was talking about. Is that something that gets put out in your newsletter? Perfect.
Yeah. So Erica, you meaning the comprehensive list of places people can go and look for resources right now that businesses can go and look for resources?
Right. Because I was trying to write them all down, like the Ramsey County Fund, and there was like a $10,000 advance, and then the deed money, and then they talked about a bridge fund. So I just felt a little overwhelmed hearing all of that, and I'd love to be a resource for our tenants and just give them a really easy list or where they go to and how to apply.
Yep.
So
I will follow up with you, and Lori Seaver looks like she's perched on the edge of her seat. My favorite place, our favorite place to refer people is the Ramsey County Means Business site, but I will also just include it can be a little difficult to navigate, Erica, if you're going there for the first time. So I will just send you a list of the links from that site that I think you should be directing people to. Lori, other thoughts?
That's exactly where the best comprehensive list is. There is a group called the East Side Team that is city employees, county employees, the St. Paul Chamber, all kinds of business people. And we have meetings once a month, and we had all agreed in the beginning of COVID that Ramsey County's website was the best, and that's where everyone was going to post the most recent information. So that's the best one to go to.
Yeah, we've been referring people here for a long time. Erica, did you want to say something else?
No, I just said that's perfect. And I see there's a link that was dropped in the group chat. So I will copy that down. Thank you.
Look at that, Darren Varley. He's just crazy getting to you there. So that's the kind of support we look for. Seriously, take a look at that site. And if you have questions, Erica, I'll send you my 5 favorite links from that too. How about that?
Just one quick note on that site. There's a box that you can actually click and submit your questions. And if you're wondering who is going to answer those questions for you, it's none other than Rick Howden. So
partly why we love having him on this call, Erica. So if you click that, if you're like, hey, what are the top 5 I should be telling people about right now? He'll send you what I'm going to send you too. You know what I mean? But totally, if you find out you're just kind of like, I don't know how to navigate this, click that question box, and it's great. And Rick is like lightning fast for responses. I've never been a part of a service that actually works as well as this county thing works for getting answers, honestly. It's almost
part of that East Team group, and he was assigned point person.
Yeah, so it's great to have him on the call, but also he actually does answer your questions quickly. I want to know what that is in the background of Brett Weaver at the moment. That's my question.
Well, yeah, so generally I'm promoting Sunray Lanes, but Sunray Lanes is part of Triple Shift Entertainment. So Sunray Lanes is open. They just got approval to stay open until midnight. So, oh my goodness. But we also have, you know, the Mermaid up in Mounds View. We have a couple other venues around the St. Paul area, down to Rochester, up to Monticello. So we're excited to be getting all of them up and running again. And I was just typing in that thank you, Paris, for putting this together. And it's great to see everyone. I do have to hop to another call, but wonderful seeing you. And thank you for the time. And you're muted, Paris.
Thank you. Hey, thanks, Brett. Fantastic. Here's one other thing I'm just going to drop in the chat. These were the donation links for this week. We've got the Meals for Seniors program still going, which is great. Kayla and Rebecca are working on that. So there it is. The Eastside Business Assistance Fund that I mentioned earlier is a great one. Erica, for everybody damaged in the unrest, we totally want their information in there. So have people apply to that one. I'll send that to you too. And then the Asaba donate link. This is how we're kind of saying, hey, you know, throw a couple of bucks that you've squirreled away that you want to spend on something special. Spend it on Asaba. They just go right there. You can donate $5. We'd love to have it, or any amount, of denominations of $5 that keep us happy and keep us getting to see you every week. So fantastic. Lori, you just sent me something. Is that something we should talk about? What is it? Oh, the deed. Go ahead, Lori.
So I got that email from Deed today, and it's online college courses and a variety of courses that are going to be offered free. An email will probably be sent to everybody who is currently getting unemployment, but anyone, even if you are employed, you can sign up to have access to it, and then they will send you an email giving you authorization to go in there. That's pretty cool.
Lori, is it something?
Lots of free online learning.
We should drop it into the Asaba newsletter maybe on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll take a look at it. All right, everybody, we are at time. Anybody want to say anything in the intervening goodbye moments here? Looking forward to seeing you out there on the bingo field, and we'll be getting that going. And I'll send you the link for a survey. Just let us know what you think kind of fundraiser we should do. So thanks for being a part of the call. Remy, so great to see you. Eastside Elders, great to see you. Always great to see firefighters doing their great things out here. And Chris, good to see you on the call. And Erica, welcome to the party. Good to see Carol, although Carol, you didn't chime in. Anyway, Randy, great to have all of you on the call, and thanks everybody. We'll see you next week.
Bye.